Thank you for tuning. Today I have with us Brad Glassman. Brad, please say hi to the people.
Hello, everyone. And Pasha, thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Always the perfect day. I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and spend with us today. And we got a great conversation. Um, a couple videos back, I did a video on in North Carolina. They now have a new budget, right? Secret police are now actually a part of that new budget, and the jurisdiction is actually tied to the basis of did the person or business receive public or state funds. So, Brad, it's kind of scary because, for example, if you're a lawyer's office, um, and you got state funds for providing public defenders, now the whole entire lawyer's office could be most likely under the jurisdiction. So it could jeopardize attorney-client privilege, for example, with their clients. And many more cans of worms are opening up. As I was speaking to you the other day, um, in that conversation, I had a thought that we could potentially move community state funding needs from state allocations and liabilities to the community itself to take charge of our own destiny. But before we continue, Brad, please, how would you describe the products and services you offer as solutions to the community?
Well, I appreciate it. And hearing what you said about the lawyer's office and stuff, um, it just disgusts me. I mean, we have to take more control, especially for the next generation. They have to work so much harder for their futures. I mean, how many companies provide pensions anymore? Look at what's happening with Social Security. So we have to stop having people reliant on our government, and we have to take everything into our own hands. We have to control that. We have to control our future. If you're going to take what the government gives you in the future, you know what? It's not going to be five-star accommodations. That's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if I'm able to say damn, but whatever.
Please do.
But no, if we don't prepare for ourselves and we're dependent upon others, there will be GoFundMe pages. There will be family members giving up of their time, losing their jobs to take care of people when they're older. We have to prepare now. We needed to prepare yesterday. So no, I am right on board with you. I love this country. I bleed red, white, and blue. But you know what? I don't feel that we are represented in the way we should be represented. And that's why I feel that we need to stand up and bring the power back to ourselves and to, as Pasha said, our own communities. We need to take more charge. So thank you.
Awesome. So from the perspective of a licensed financial educator, right?
Yes.
And by all means, this is entertainment purposes only. And I know for the people that rock with Y97, they know we entertainment purposes only because legality issues and stuff. So if the conversation by any means gets into a point where there's restrictions or regulations, just let us know and we can move past that. Okay.
I appreciate that. I don't foresee that happening because anything like that, I won't comment on.
Awesome.
So what I share, if it has to do with taxes, talk to your CPA. I'm not that person. But if you ask me a question and it has to do with what I do, you get the answer.
Gotcha. So generally speaking, as financial services become more personalized, right?
Yes.
And the industry uh, takes more of time to understand the client's financial aspirations and build strong lasting relationships with them, because that's when it's best, when you work together over time. So hypothetically, okay, great, I come in the office one day, hypothetically speaking, and I say, hey, I'm single or I have a small family. The industry could tailor something for me depending on the circumstance. I may get some things and have a payment of $84 a month, right?
Hypothetically, without knowing the specifics, age, gender, state, then absolutely.
Okay. So let's take a journey. Now that same conversation takes a twist. because instead I say, hey, instead of being single or I have a small family, I want to look at it as if I have a larger family
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to start off small, even though it's larger, with the population of, let's say, 6 to 7 million people. What are your first thoughts with the major differences between people coming in wanting to prepare circumstances for a household or a family versus now that family being 7 million people strong? What's the immediate thoughts that come to your mind?
The immediate thoughts is, oh my God, how much taxes are those 7 million people going to pay in total? Uh, I I pay my taxes. I just don't want to pay an exorbitant amount. I love having our armed services. I love having paved roads. But do I really want to pay for everyone else? Oh, no way, no. So my initial knee-jerk reaction is, how can we minimize the taxes? How can we grow the money tax free? How can we minimize the risk and outpace the market? What can we do in bulk now where I feel there's greater power than an individual? So I think they're more empowered by having a larger group of people. It's like a business. Who has more power? The little mom and pop gas station with 2 employees, it's mom and pop, or the Walt Disney Company that has hundreds of thousands of employees.
Mm-hmm. So, with that number, we're talking about a population, a family density of equal to the state of Washington or Arizona. And as you can see here, the list goes down probably to about Missouri, Maryland, in that range. So we're talking about a family as big as a state. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna bring us to why I threw that on the board. Everybody knows I be doing crazy stuff. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for being with us. Give me
Happily.
a second. Let me put up the next screen here. And I'll tell you why I brought that up for us.
Okay, now you have me curious.
So government assistant programs, right? Many governments offer safety net programs to help individuals and families in need. Most of us either know somebody or know somebody and know somebody that's had some sort of government assistance. Like I said, this started off with showcasing in North Carolina the secret police reform now under the jurisdiction of have you had state funds or public funding. People don't even realize that. Many people don't even realize, for example, not any type of tax advice or anything like that, that anything beyond checking zero on your tax return actually is that discount, that credit is state funds. So a lot of people think they're not getting state funds when they really are. So they got to be careful. They could be under that jurisdiction where they realize they're not. But here's what, whether it's Medicare, SNAP assistance, or tax deductions claiming to hit a household, if we take control of our own financial opportunities as a community, we could be relieved from the jurisdiction of secret police now formed by the new budget in North Carolina and coming soon to a state near you, right?
Right.
So here, let's take a look at this real quick. This is from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? And what I thought was interesting is it's talking about a lot of stuff. Everybody can come to this website and look at this article. Here's all right. So if you want to read it in its entirety, but what I thought was interesting with it was a couple pieces of information here. So consumer expenditure survey right here. Data shows that in 2014, there were 31.6 million families in the United States with at least one child under 18 years old. Slightly over one-fifth, 21.1% of these families receive government means tested assistance. Okay. So what that is equates to about 6.7 million families, which is where I got that population of the family and being about the state, the size of a state that we mentioned.
Right.
Okay. So right there, when you were talking about having a group of people, a large group of people to share the burden of the financial aspect of it, 7 million people, 7 million families. What are we looking at? For describe the challenge or dynamics if the community wanted to come together to actually maybe put together some sort of financial plan to do it themselves instead of being depending on states. Just high level overview, and then we'll go into some particular numbers, for example.
Well, high level overview, it's difficult to look at X number of millions of people in a group setting. So let's break it down to the lowest common denominator, an individual. How can you pay less taxes, and not just for this year, but throughout your entire lifetime? It takes that knowledge, it takes the education. There
Mhm.
are means, and there are, I don't even want to use the word loopholes, because they're created, and they're created by the IRS. We are allowed to create X amount of money that is tax free. Now, whether it's through a Roth IRA, 401k, or other solutions, I mean, I've got, and I'm not going into specifics, but two of my specific products, I could put $22,000 in, where it's all growing tax free. The distributions will be tax free. I'm over 50 years old. My Roth IRA, I could only give 7,500. So most people know about the 401k and the Roth IRA. It's the education and it's the knowledge. It's not difficult, but people
Mhm.
aren't looking for the solutions. So it comes with the knowledge, and people either have to seek it out or know someone who's going to say, "Hey, buddy, I got something to tell you." And
Right.
more people should know this.
Right. So 3.5 million families receive SNAP, right? Which is a food assistance. It's some paragraphs here that talks about some things. And then we get down to, well, before I get there, let's go here because this is where it's at. Here's the graph, the chart. So housing, right? 21.8% of that 7 million, rounded off 6.7 million families are actually getting some sort of housing assistance. 84.1% are getting Medicaid, right? Public assistance in general, 7%. What I want to use, for example, is the SNAP program, which is a food assistance program.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason I want to use this is because it gave an actual number. So 51.6% of those 6.7 roughly rounded off families are getting an average of $3,928 annually. And I did some crude math myself, and 3.5 million families at the rate of 39.28 is approximately 13 trillion 748, excuse me, 13 billion 748 million dollars worth of SNAP program. Now, when you look at the IRS per 2022, 164,997,000 individual tax returns were filed. And if you just do that math into the 13.75 billion, it comes down to about $83.32 per taxpayer per year if it was a direct one for one, dollar exchange with no vehicle to help increase the value, right?
Without an offset, yeah.
Right. Okay. So now looking at that, of course, there's other programs like we said, there's housing, there's this, there's that, but just using the SNAP, for example, basically, even though the population is more, there's not, everybody's not filing taxes. We got kids, we got elderly that's not working, stuff like that, people that whatever. So $84 a year per taxpayer pays for the SNAP program. What are the chances? I mean, I know it's an elaborate construction, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the chances? What are the odds? How difficult would it be for a community to come together and put themselves in a position where the community members could pay $84 a month to have a nest egg for themselves outside of state funding that they can pull from as a community when things like people need SNAP assistance or many other things, which we'll give a short list in a little bit. But what's how challenging would that be, and how scalable is it?
Well, it's not, in my opinion, and I'm not a professional in these various realms, but look at the concept of, you know, shared health programs. Look at the concepts of anything that is community driven. You know, right now it's only $84 per person, but it's per every taxpayer, and everyone's supporting the people who can't support themselves or what have you. And those people are only getting $4,000 a year, 3,900 and change. So
Mhm.
they're not getting 5-star rated anything, and everyone is giving up. To do it as a community, um, you have much better chances of saving money, having people contribute. This person may, be on a low cycle at the time. These people may be on a high cycle, but averaging everything out, then it would be community driven, and it would also, on a regular basis, likely be profit based.
Mm.
So
Yes.
once you start it, it could potentially be self sustaining. How do you think all of these, like health insurance and everything, sustain, make so much money, so forth and so on? Because it's group rates.
So basically, it sounds like if a community, large or small, or eventually the whole nation, was to get together and create something like this, it could sustain us for generations.
Likely so, yes.
Awesome point. So then we could chip away at little by little and eventually cover all of the things like the additional assistance, like emergency funds, food banks, meal programs, utility assistance programs, rent and housing assistance, childcare assistance, scholarships, grants, workforce development programs, mental health counseling, disability benefits, compensation, workers' compensation, rehabilitation, addiction treatment programs, community loans, microfinance, legal aid, and the list goes on.
Hmm.
And I like that you brought up a moment ago what I'm going to call the sustainability factor when you said, you know, the taking care of the people that can't take care of themselves. Because the states are having trouble with that. And I know you have a great passion to share a new tax program that's actually a success of pretty much the failure, right? Of or not say failure, but they're losing a lot of money, as they put it in articles, taking care of people who quote unquote can't take care of themselves. And there's a tax program for that. Share with the people if you can.
Thank you. And yes, this is one of the things I am most passionate about, and I try to get as much word out there as possible, and why I value your platform. Each state, and it's already started with the state of Washington. They're coming out with a long-term care tax, but a lot of people don't realize this is a tax, possibly the first tax you can opt out of. So if you have a choice to pay a tax or not, wouldn't you rather opt out? I know I would. Um, Good and bad. I believe in giving fair assessments. The good is people who can't qualify for a long-term care product to take care of themselves if they need later, they're automatically covered. That's great. But it says each state will have its own state program. And if you move out of that state, even though you paid however much, $1 or $1 million into it, you get nothing. Furthermore, if you stay in that state and you pay $1 or $1 million into it, and then you have the need, the maximum lifetime benefit in the state of Washington so far only, 36,500. Do you have any idea how far $36,500 goes when it comes to long-term care? Not far. It could take care of you anywhere from 4 months, maybe 8 months, depending upon the services you're getting. And to think that every state is doing it, it's wise because every state is losing billions of dollars every year taking care of people who have not financially prepared for themselves. Imagine, imagine you outliving your money. What kind of life would that be? Accepting just government assistance for anything and everything, having your family having to give up, like I mentioned earlier, their job so they have time to take care of you. You know, how would you feel when you know now you could prepare for that inevitability? Sorry about that,
Hey,
but
you good.
yeah, there's steps that can be taken and need to be taken.
I like that, and I appreciate the fact that you made the statement of outliving money. Why that seven people know ain't been no money in circulation since the 30s. You can talk to them. That's okay. It's all between us here.
There you go.
So now, what it is though, we're dealing with fiat currency, but what it is that so much of the nation's population, despite if you're what you call yourself, U.S. citizen or American or whatever, is they're outliving their money check to check. So they're in a state of trauma, many of us, because of that reason alone for so long in their life that it reduces their quality of life and diminishing their long-term vitality. So they're advancing more rapidly to the point where they're going to need long-term care due to ailments. And it's been documented in some cases that 4 out of 5 older Americans will need help with daily things like bathing, dressing, using the toilet, or preparing meals. So when you mentioned the how long does $36,000 take you? How far does it go? Not very far. You're right.
Far enough.
Yeah. And that gap is going to be getting longer and longer because as the body and mental stuff is breaking down more and more because productivity is skyrocketing since 79 and wages and compensations flatline, you got to do so much more to get so little less, and then the quality that nothing lasts anymore. It's a compression.
Yes.
So you'll be kicking a can down the road. Now, this tax program is coming up because of the other programs or the other whatever it was called that was set up prior to it. They kept kicking that can down the road to the point where now they're losing, they're going in the red. So they're coming up with this tax program to try and offset that. Isn't it kind of still just kicking the can down the road inevitably? And would you agree that it's only a matter of time before this can gets to the end of the road as well? So would it be advantageous for Americans to really take this concept seriously and let's figure out how to own our own accountability here?
Absolutely. I mean, my crystal ball isn't working, so I can't guarantee whatever, but I look upon it, and so much of what I read, it's again structured similar, and I'll say it, similar to Social Security. I
Mhm.
mean, when Social Security started, you had more people working than were collecting. Now the roles are reversed. And now they're looking at lowering the limit on the Social Security, and eventually it'll have no funds in it. So we're recreating that, in my opinion. We're recreating that in this scenario as well. And if people took their own futures and their own capabilities in their own hands, then of course they would have better situations. And with people living longer in America, you know, it's like you're eventually going to run into a situation. A little known fact is people outside of my industry, between ages 18 and 64, 60% of people will have a long-term care capable event. That means you might be approved for long-term care, falling
Mhm.
off a ladder, getting hit. I'm going to use an analogy a buddy of mine uses, getting hit by a bus and living. Imagine you
Mm.
get hit by a bus and live. Maybe you can't work. You don't have money coming in. Now you have all these doctor bills. You have more money going out. What do you do? This is the kind of situation that too many people have set themselves up in. So you have 60% of people between 18 and 64, and from ages 70 on, age 70 on, it's looking at 70 to 80 plus percent as we get older of people needing long term care, whether it's a cognitive disability or they can't, you know, transport themselves or clothe or feed or toilet themselves. There's so many things. And
Mhm.
the future scares me for the majority of Americans.
I appreciate that consideration. Now, once American once Americans start to say, okay, this is what we need to do. There's going to be two sides of the coin. What it takes on the American community side, to organize on the community side and get everybody to buy into the concept, buy into the idea, and start to prepare. And then uh, there's going to be the approach to you and the SMEs like you, subject matter experts like you, to process and help. Once we get the communities together to understand the concept and buy in, being background and process optimization, what would be the best way to what needs to be done? Because it's going to be different than just coming to you talking about household and typical family, numbers. How best would it be to prepare? What do we need to think about as the American people to organize in clusters and then put it together to make it easy for you and the staff of licensed financial advisors and educators out there to actually process and make it a reality without being overwhelmed, confused, lack of standardization of any kind, and all the failure modes that could potentially happen. How do we need to transition to that, working with the industry instead of just dumping it on to you guys?
It's a twofold process, in my opinion, and it's going to be a painful one too, because any transition is difficult. I mean, one of them is obviously reaching out to licensed financial professionals and getting the facts and knowing what it is. Another one is get involved with your communities. Set up groups. Find out what your neighbors are doing. I know all my neighbors and I'm proud of it. We are in a gluttonous society. We have larger houses, we have more spaces for ourselves, we have food on the table, and so many people are still not happy. I've been to many countries, third world as well, and they have so much less, but there's a sense of community.
Mm,
If one person is out of a food, it's a staple for their country, then their neighbor will help. You know what? Get to know your neighbors. Start getting together at community halls or at YMCAs or different social centers. Be active in your community and be a voice of and an advocate of change. You know, if we think it's a dream, if we act on it, it could become reality. Let's make it reality. I'm tired of this dreaming BS. Let's make it an actual change. So that's my twofold process. I might be right, I might be wrong. Who knows? The proof is in the pudding.
hey, it's a start, and as long as we, like Simon Sinek say, as long as we agree on the destination, makes it easy to overcome all obstacles. It's a great uh, starting point. Speaking from your perspective of how we need to prepare on our side to come to you guys to make this a reality, because we come with our whole state and be like, hey, we got 7 million people we're trying to take care of. That the numbers are going to be ridiculous, the checks are going to be crazy, the wire transfers, whatever it's going to be, and all that's got to be handled smoothly. The mathematics for you to figure out what needs, what vehicles it's got to go into to produce profit, to grow, all that good stuff. It's going to be a little bit of a different application. So we're going to have to take our time. We're going to have to plan, and we're going to have to know that there might be some small pivots because we're ironing out a new process, um, a new first impression for many, right? So speaking of contacting you and people like you, let's let them know where they can reach you if they're interested in working with you, and if you're limited to a certain demographic or geo geographical area of the nation, jurisdiction, per licenses and all that alphabet people.
Right. A lot of people don't realize that as a licensed financial agent, I I'm already licensed in multiple states. I could be licensed in all 50 states. I am limited to the US. I'm in California. I'm working with people almost daily in Florida, in New York, and all the states in between. So reaching out, it makes a difference. I'm not the only one. Would I love to work with everyone? Oh, absolutely. But the reality is, I wouldn't be able to do that. So as long as you get the knowledge, you get covered, and you have products that are proper for you, they're suitable for you, and they're sustainable for you, where it's not like, oh my God, when I buy a house, I can't afford the premiums or the payments or the whatever. You
Mhm.
know, it's got to be realistic, and it has to cater to your destination, not to the commission that the agent is getting. And it all starts with education. I start with education, services. I put products last. You have to know your situation now, the destination you want, and then, do I possibly have any solution to get you there? I may not be the right person for you. If not, I'll admit it. So it takes reaching out. It takes getting that knowledge. And to reach at me, it is so easy. My email is right there, bradglassmanfinancial@gmail.com. There's a QR code. My website is bradgfinancial.com. I'm very open, very transparent. Phone number's there. If I'm in a meeting, I'm not going to take your call. But if I'm dealing with you and I have a call coming in, I still won't take their call. I give the respect to the individual I am talking to at the moment because they deserve my focus. Make sure you're dealing with someone who's just a straight shooter.
Brad, we've known each other for a while now, and I just want to let the White at Seven community near and abroad know that I have a great respect for you.
Thank you.
We share a lot of what we view as what the destination should be, as
Yes.
what brought us together to have this conversation for the community added value. So I think we've done a great job identifying the fact that, yeah, it's going to require some work. Um, it, like you said earlier, it's going to be painful.
Yes.
But we could actually take this over ourselves and take control of our future, freeing us from potential jurisdictional infringements, property becoming assets of the United States because somebody needed food one day and they got on the SNAP program. Um, Basically changing the world that we're leaving behind for the future generations.
Right.
So I appreciate that you validated, verified that it could be done, and we just need to get started and do it. What are your closing remarks?
We are a country of procrastinators. Recognize ourselves first. The change starts within each of us individually, and then we're a piece of the puzzle. Let's start bringing the puzzle pieces together to get that picture together. Start in your neighborhood, your community, your city. Let it grow. Let it be a movement. Know what you're doing. It doesn't have to be out there as far as getting radical or loud. We can even do it within the current system, but we have to know and empower ourselves what steps we can take, how to do it, and how to do it properly, because there is no need for us to be dependent upon various things from our either state level or federal level government. We can take care of so much on our own. So figure out what you have to do, make it happen, move forward. Don't let it be a dream, let it become reality.
Awesome. I like also that that you confirm we can take it in steps. So for the people that are looking at it like it's an undaunting task or a daunting task, then no, let's break it down incrementally and take steps to arrive at that destination in an efficient and effective process.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time today,
Well,
and
thank
I'll have
you.
all your details in the description below on the video. Say bye to people, Brett.
Bye, people. No, thank you so much. Again, thank you for your platform, everyone you reach. I hope that together we truly can make at least a dent and over time a big realistic difference. Imagine what your future could be if you structured yourself early or the next generation early, and they can have a tax free life in their future. Wouldn't that be beautiful?
Exactly. Hey, this is part of step one. Is just getting the ideas out there for people to talk to people about grassroots, spread the concepts, and then come together to make it happen. Like you said, instead of making it a dream, let's make it the reality. And I appreciate you for being a part, among others, and taking those first steps with us.
Thank you so much again. You be well.
Always a perfect day. Pasha Paro, Brad Glassman, thank you for tuning.